No one expected the bracelet to resurface. Not after all this time. Not after years of silence, distance, and unspoken history. Not after everything between Lee Min-ho and Kim Go-eun had settled into that delicate, careful balance the industry pretended not to notice. Yet somehow it appeared again, quietly, subtly, and in a way that sent the entire internet spiraling. A bracelet, silver, thin, elegant, barely noticeable unless you knew what you were looking for. A bracelet that once belonged to Kim Go-eun. A bracelet that had once been given to her by Lee Min-ho. A bracelet she had returned. And today, the world finally learned why. It started when Kim Go-eun walked into a rehearsal studio in Seoul for her upcoming fan meeting. There were no paparazzi waiting outside, no reporters stalking the entrance. It was supposed to be a peaceful, private afternoon. But peace wasn't something she carried easily anymore, not when every step she took seemed to resurrect a piece of her past. Inside the studio, she greeted the staff warmly, bowed politely, and moved toward her seat. Everything seemed normal, steady, routine, until someone set a small, velvet box on the table beside her script. She froze. She recognized that box instantly, too instantly, because she had returned it once before, placing it quietly on a wooden table 4 years earlier without saying a single word. She hadn't looked inside then. She didn't look inside now. The staff member responsible for bringing it, clearly unaware of its weight, casually said, "Oh, Min-ho SSI asked me to pass this on. He said it belongs to you." Her breath caught, her chest tightened. And for a moment, all the noise in the room faded into nothing. Her fingers hovered over the velvet lid but didn't touch it. She didn't have to, she knew what was inside. She remembered the feel of it, the cool metal, the delicate chain, the inscription hidden inside the clasp. It wasn't a romantic gift. Not officially, not publicly. It had never been meant to be seen by anyone but her. She forced herself to smile at the staff member, nodding gently. "Thank you." But the moment he walked away, the mask slipped. Her calm expression broke. Her eyes glistened, not with tears, not yet, but with something heavier, something old, something she thought she'd buried. She sat down slowly, deeply inhaled, and stared at the box. Why now? Why this? Why would Lee Min-ho return something she had given back for a reason she never fully explained? She leaned back and closed her eyes. And suddenly, she was no longer in the rehearsal studio. She was 4 years younger, standing on the set of The King, Eternal Monarch during their final week of filming. The memory came back in pieces like a film reel unspooling frame by frame. A cold evening, a quiet break between scenes. Only a few people lingering nearby. Min-ho had called her over gently. "Go-eun, wait," she turned. He looked nervous, something she had never seen on him before. He held a small bag. Inside was the bracelet. He didn't say much. He didn't call it a gift, he didn't make it romantic, he simply said, "I saw this and thought of you." But it wasn't what he said, it was the way he said it, the softness, the hesitation, the hope. She had accepted the bracelet then, not because it was expensive, not because it was beautiful, but because something in his eyes asked her to. She wore it occasionally, privately, carefully. But as their drama ended, rumors started. Reporters pried, fans speculated, agencies worried. Every gesture, every look, every breath between them became magnified by thousands of eyes. And then something else happened, something the world never knew. A scandal broke involving a different actor at her agency. The timing was terrible, the pressure was worse. Her management told her that she couldn't afford any misunderstandings. Not now, not then, not even with Min-ho. So she did something she regretted the moment she walked away. She placed the bracelet back in its box, left it on a table in a quiet meeting room, and whispered into the empty air. "I'm sorry," she walked out before she could change her mind. Min-ho found it an hour later. He didn't ask questions, she didn't explain. They simply moved forward with a distance between them that neither acknowledged. But distance doesn't erase memory, and apparently it doesn't erase meaning either. Now, years later, the bracelet had returned to her hands again. She exhaled shakily and finally opened the box. There it was, silver, untarnished, untouched. But something else was new, something she had never seen before. A small note folded once. Her heart pounded as she lifted it. Her fingers trembled slightly. Min-ho's handwriting was unmistakable, clean, steady, elegant. But the words inside were not what she expected. "You returned this before because the timing was wrong. Maybe this time it won't be." She read it again, and again her mind spun. It wasn't a confession, it wasn't a question. It wasn't a request, it was a door one he was leaving open, one she had closed years ago. A quiet knock sounded on the studio door, snapping her back to the present. Her manager walked in, carrying a stack of papers. "Go-eun, Min-ho SSI will be joining rehearsals later. They said he wants to go over a few things for the charity segment." Her stomach dropped. He was coming, here today, she swallowed hard. Did he say when? Soon. Maybe an hour. Her manager continued talking about schedules and transitions, but Go Yoon didn't hear a word. Her mind was still stuck on the note in her hands, her heartbeat echoing louder than the manager's voice. She placed the bracelet back into the box, closed it gently and pushed it aside. She needed air. She slipped out of the rehearsal room quietly and walked down the empty hallway, letting her footsteps echo through the quiet building. Every shadow brought back another memory, every corner an echo of something unresolved. She reached the balcony at the end of the hallway and leaned forward, breathing in the cool evening air drifting through the open window. That's when she heard footsteps behind her. Soft, measured, familiar. She didn't turn, she didn't need to. Min Ho's voice was low, almost hesitant. "You read it." She closed her eyes. Of course he would come, of course he would know. Of course he would find her before she found the courage to speak. She turned around slowly. He stood a few steps away, wearing a simple black coat, hair slightly tousled, expression calm, but eyes searching hers like he was trying to understand every emotion she wasn't saying out loud. She held his gaze. "Why did you send it?" He shrugged gently, but his eyes softened. "Because you returned it before without telling me why. You didn't ask. I didn't want to make things harder for you." Her breath caught. "And now," he said quietly, "I just want you to know you didn't have to run from it." She swallowed hard, tears brushing the edge of her voice. "I didn't run, I just couldn't hold it." His expression softened even further. "Then hold it now." She shook her head, overwhelmed. "Min Ho SSI, things are different, we're older now, our careers are strong enough to survive the truth," he interrupted gently. She looked away, voice trembling. It wasn't about the truth. It was about timing. He stepped closer, only inches separating them. "I know, that's why I waited." Silence, heavy, fragile, she exhaled slowly. "And what if the timing still isn't right?" He took the final step toward her, voice barely above a whisper. "Then I'll wait again." She looked up, really looked up, and saw the sincerity in his eyes. Not the actor, not the superstar, just Min Ho. The man who had once given her a bracelet without calling it a gift. The man who had quietly noticed every nervous habit she had. The man who waited for a smile she tried to hide. The man who never pushed, never demanded, never stopped feeling. She felt something shift inside her, something she'd buried under years of professionalism and fear. She whispered, "You kept it all this time." "I don't throw away things that matter," he replied. Her heart trembled, her voice softened. "I gave it back for a reason." "I know," he said gently, "but I didn't return it to pressure you. I just wanted you to know I still have it, that's all." She blinked back the thread of tears. "And if I don't take it again," he smiled faintly, tenderly, "then it stays with me." She stared at him, this man who had waited years without asking anything in return. For the first time since she opened the bracelet box, she felt steady. She stepped closer and held out her hand. His breath caught. She didn't touch him, she didn't say yes, she didn't accept the bracelet, she simply whispered, "Let's start with talking." His shoulders loosened, the kind of relief you feel when a storm finally breaks after years of silence. "Talking," he repeated softly, "I can do that." They walked back toward the rehearsal room side by side.